Hi there. So it's been a year since I started my TPT journey, and so I wanted to kind of report on how that's gone so far. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what went well, what didn't go so well, and I'll tell you how much I made towards the end, and also some advice on what I think you should do if you're going to start this journey right now, and what you should probably avoid because some things were not worth my time. So let's get right into it. So I started off in August, towards the end of August last year, which wasn't the best timing because, as I discovered this year, August is the best month for the year for a lot of TPT sellers, I think. I'm in the middle of September right now, so we'll see how that goes. It's going pretty well so far, but not quite as good as August. So if I was going to give advice for somebody just starting out, I would say start at the beginning of the summer. As soon as your school finishes, if you're going to open up a store, begin. I mean, anytime is good, but begin before back to school season so that you take advantage of some of those early sales in the year. And so I started my store, I opened it up, and I had my logo and store name and all that kind of stuff ready to go, but I didn't have any products to start with. My goal was to take things that I'd already used in my class. I've been a classroom teacher for about 13 years, so I was going to just use the resources that I had in class and put those on the store, because I knew that I needed to get a lot of products very quickly to start making some sales and get some eyeballs on my store. So I took the simplest resources that I would have to convert. So one of the issues that I discovered right away is that I had to convert these classroom resources that I'd made into something that other teachers could actually use. Everything was like coded and organized the way that I like it, but not necessarily the way that other teachers would use it. And I needed to kind of beautify things and add colors and some clip art and things like that to make it look much nicer than it did. So I started with the easiest thing that I already had planned, which was my unit plans and my learning objectives. And I teach 7 classes, grades 6 to 12, all science, and I focused on middle school. I decided middle school. So I had 30 unit plans all ready to go, all lined up. And all I had to do was kind of put those into a better formatting and in different documents and things, and they were ready to go. So I was able to get 60 products up, 30 learning objectives, 30 unit plans within the first, let's say, 2 months, very quickly. Whereas most stores, I think, start with just one product at a time, maybe 1 or 2 a week, and it takes quite a while for them to build up that kind of base product line, I guess. So that was a good start, and I started making sales like the first week that I posted things. I made like $2 or something like that. In August, I made about $8, I think, was my total for that first month, which was great. You know, I was only on the store for like less than 2 weeks, and I was pretty happy with that as a start. I didn't think anyone would even find my things to begin with. And then in the next couple of months, I started to branch out to some other resources. I started doing experiments almost right away. One of the problems I had when I was teaching high school science and middle school science is that I just couldn't find good quality experiments. They were either very complicated, like college level experiments, or really elementary school, simple kind of experiments, and not a lot in between. That's one of the reasons why I chose to focus on middle school. So anyways, I started doing the experiments, I started putting those products up, and they did pretty well as well. But again, like most of my products, I set them at between $2 and $3. If you already know a little bit about TPT, you know that under $3 products get charged like an additional little surcharge, and so it's kind of in your best interest to get your products above $3 if you can. So that's something I'm still working on, getting all my products above $3. But also, if you're selling like $2 and $3 products at a time, you're not making that much money. So the next step was to start putting things in bundles, and I did that pretty much as soon as I got those full product lines out. So those 30 units, I put it into a bundle, and then I made the cost about a 30% discount on those. And I started selling those right away too. So as soon as I made those bundles, they started to sell. And actually my biggest product for the entire year was the 30 unit plan bundle that I made, which I make about $60 as the selling price, and about 50 of that I get to keep through TPT. So it's been my top seller by far. More than half of my earnings for the whole year have been just that single bundle of those products, and that's been really, really great so far. So I would definitely recommend bundling as much stuff as you can. It works out really, really well. The little sales on your small products, individual projects is great too, but the big bundles. That's where it's at. People are not wrong when they say bundle things up. And the discounts are what makes people more likely to buy those than just the individual products too. Okay, so that took me about maybe 2 or 3 months to kind of get those bundles going and those first couple of product lines. And then I started doing, like I said, the experiments, and I tried not to look at other stores to see what they were selling. So that's one thing that a lot of people recommend, that you sort of look around, see what's good, see what's not. I just stuck with stuff that I made in my class that I knew worked well with students and that I thought other teachers would be able to use. So I started doing some card sort activities and some daily bell ringer kind of activities. Those are something that I use a lot in class. And it took a lot of work to get those up to the point where I would be willing to sell them to somebody, because mine were just like white, boring slides and they needed a lot of work. But anyways, so those are the next kinds of things I did. And the goal was to make 30 of those products, because I have 30 different units. And then once I finished all those, I could start to bundle them into complete units. And everything would kind of align really well with the courses that I was teaching and things. And I do all the sciences, like biology, chemistry, physics, environmental science, earth science, all that stuff. So I have lots and lots of different resources. And that was the next step. So then after that, I started to get into the marketing. I started that early on, but I didn't start everything right at the same time. I watched a lot of videos, like Becca's Music Room was really helpful, and a few other podcasters and things like that. It's Not Rocket Science, it's pretty good. And I looked at some other science sellers for middle school and high school to kind of get some ideas of what I should be doing for marketing. But I had no experience in that. Like, I don't really like social media that much. Like, it was probably a horrible thing to admit. But it just wasn't really my thing. I had a Facebook page for ages, but I had no Instagram. I had no Pinterest. I had no YouTube. I had no email list. I hadn't started a blog or any of that stuff. And I knew that I wanted to eventually do all those things, because I felt like I should find out what works and what doesn't. So I didn't take the advice that many people gave me, which was to pick like 1 or 2 things that you're confident in and just focus on those. Instead, I did everything with the goal that I would kind of try it for the year and see what worked and what didn't, and then get rid of the things that were not helpful, not profitable, not efficient enough. So yes, I started the blog. That was one of the first things I did, and I paid for a domain. And I made a big mistake on, or not, I shouldn't say a big mistake. I made a mistake on my store name and my website name. I did not take the time to Google my store idea, and I ended up having to compete with a lot of other people who had the same name or the same kind of similar name. So I chose Science for Everyone as my store, and my original goal was to kind of try and make a blog that could appeal to anybody who has an interest in science. And so I guess one of the mistakes I made was I didn't check out that name beforehand, and there are quite a few other websites and organizations that use that same name. So oops, made a mistake there. But I'm kind of stuck with it now. And the other mistake that I made was that my store wasn't specific enough, or my blog wasn't specific enough. I started making articles about the environment. I started making articles about like schools and education in general, but not very specific to middle school and high school science. And even more specifically, I teach IB sciences, so MYP and IB science. And in retrospect, I probably should have focused directly on those instead of trying to just appeal to everybody. Because people would come to the blog and I wouldn't know how to write articles for them. Am I writing for teachers? Am I writing for students? This is for parents. And so people would probably arrive and be like, this isn't quite for me. Or the next article I'd write would be a little different, and they'd be like, well, that one was good, but what is this one? This doesn't have anything to do with me. So when people say focus on your niche, it sounds kind of counterintuitive. You want to make your audience like as large as it can be. But at the same time, I think it's definitely true that you should focus on your specific audience and always be targeting those same people, so that when they come back, they find the same kind of content that they can use and it's useful to them. So yes, that's one thing I've definitely learned over the year of blogging and working on my store and marketing a little bit. So yeah, the website was up and running, and then I got into starting business accounts for Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube as well. Setting those up was really easy. It's just a bunch of forms and simple settings and things like that. And I made all the names the same. I chose the same username for all those kinds of things to make it as easy as possible for me to remember, partly, and for other people to find, I guess. And it was quite a learning curve to figure out what to do with them. So setting them up was great, but then you got to fill them with some kind of content. And so I watched lots and lots of videos about how to make that content and what works and what doesn't, and getting through all the terminology of like click-through rates and stuff like that. Like I had no idea what any of those things meant at the start of this year. So huge learning opportunity for anybody starting out with marketing and stuff like that. Like it was a huge learning curve to try and figure out all that stuff. But I didn't really watch a ton of things ahead of time. I watched some, but I just wanted to try it and get into it right away. And I think that's probably the best way to learn anyway. So yeah, I started them all, and the Facebook page was easy. I knew Facebook the best, so I kind of focused on that at the beginning. Instagram's pretty easy too because it's linked up with Facebook, so that wasn't too bad to get started on. I started making some videos. Every time we did a lab at school, I would take photos and record it and then start posting those things. That was easy. And anything that happened during my school day that didn't involve students, I would just take photos and things of that. That was easy to get on Instagram, and I still am doing all that. So Instagram is good. It's one that I would recommend. It's fast. It's fairly simple to set up and get going, and you just post very quick kind of updates on what's going on in your classroom or with your store or what you're working on and stuff like that. Easy. Pinterest was a little bit more work, and to be honest, it's probably the least productive thing that I've done so far for the year. It takes a lot of time to make pins, multiple pins for all the products that I'm making, and I haven't seen a lot of return on that yet. I don't have that many followers on my Pinterest account so far. I've been working on building that up over the year, and it is slowly increasing. And I still feel like it has potential, but I probably got a little late in the game for Pinterest. If I'd already had a Pinterest account for years, I'd probably be way ahead now. I'd already have a bunch of followers, and it would be much easier to get going on it. But right now, it hasn't translated to a lot of sales. I'm getting quite a few views and some clicks and stuff like that, but it just doesn't translate to a ton of sales unless you're getting a lot of people viewing and engaging with that. So anyway, Pinterest, lots of time, and I'll get into the advertising at the end because I did some of that too, just to kind of try it out. But anyway, so Pinterest, not so successful, but I still feel like it has some potential, so I'm probably going to stick with it. YouTube is the one that I probably put the least effort into. I made a video right at the start of the year just to kind of introduce what I was doing. There was a lot of things that were question marks at the time. Didn't know what was going on exactly with my living situation. I moved recently this year, and my job and my store and a whole bunch of things changed. So it was kind of just an introduction to everything. And now this year is my recap video. So I'm happy to finally get around to the end of the year and things have settled down a little bit. So YouTube, and then the blog and the email list. The blog, I tried to do posts every week originally. That was my plan, and I kept that going for about almost 6 months, I think. Up until about January or February, I was doing one post a week, one article. But those were taking up a ton of my time. I spend probably 5 to 8 hours on each blog post, which seems crazy because they take about 10 minutes to read. But a lot of them involved a lot of research, and I'm quite picky about the details and making sure it sounds good and everything looks right and there's no mistakes and things. So I do spend a lot of time on those blog articles. And those have gotten a lot of views, and I'm pretty happy with that. But again, translating that into sales has been something that I'm still learning how to do. That's not so easy. So yeah, you can get people to click on it. They might like your content, but then how do they get to your TPT store? How does that become a sale for you in the end without sounding like really seller-y? Word. I don't like the salesmanship part of it. It's kind of, you want people to go to your store. You want them to use your products because you think they're good and they're helpful for the classroom. But I don't want to be like a scummy salesperson at the same time. So finding a balance there is a little bit challenging, and I'm still working on that. The email list is something that I started right away too. Everybody says, oh, email list, that's the best way to get sales. That's the best way to get your conversion rate up. So that's the number of people that go to your site, and then after they're there, do they buy something? That's your conversion rate, the percentage of people who go to your store or go to your website and then do something. So in order to get that higher, people say that the email list is the way to go. You email people directly. You don't have to go through another website or anything. Once you've got their email, you can start marketing them to them directly, and that's really good. So I got just a couple subscribers at the beginning. It was like my family members and friends, like most people who visited my site. And then within a couple of months, I was starting to double the number of subscribers every month. So I started with like 10 in the first month, and then 20, 40, maybe like 60, 70 the next month. And then within 6 months, I had like around like 100, maybe 150 subscribers. And it was increasing every time I wrote an article by about 10 or 20 subscribers. Yeah, so within a year, I had about 600 subscribers to my site, which I was really happy with. And it's still continuing to grow. I had a really big campaign over the summer where I kind of coordinated with some other teachers to send out some free resources in a bundle, and that was huge for increasing the number of subscribers I have for my website, so that's great. I would definitely recommend doing the blog and email list if you have the time, but it is a huge time sink. So if I was going to cut something out for just time alone, it would probably be the blog. You can still have an email list without a blog by advertising your stuff on other social media pages, your Instagram and stuff like that. But I think it'd probably be way less successful. It's easy to get people to sign up through your website and much more difficult to get people to click through, like let's say to your Instagram profile and sign up for something if you don't have some kind of website associated with it. I think it'd be much more difficult. But anyway, so I signed up for all that. That takes care of all the social media kind of stuff, I think. I'll talk a little bit more about the product creation itself. So I had a little bit of experience with Canva and stuff just from teaching and some of those other apps, and so I'm using a ton of Canva. I started with the free account, but I realized really quickly that I wanted to use some of the premium features, so I paid for that. And also Adobe. I paid for the premium Adobe so I could edit all my PDFs and protect them and things like that. So that's two other costs that I pay every month. I actually pay for the annual membership now, but at first I was doing it monthly. And for the previews and thumbnails and stuff like that, the covers especially. So for my TPT covers, I've gone through about 4 different versions of all the covers so far, adding in my logo and things like that, because I'm not happy with the way that the previous ones looked, and I'm constantly like thinking of new ideas and ways to make them better. So I've gone back and redone those for all my products a bunch of times this year, and I'll probably do it again a few more times this year or next year as I kind of think of better ways to do it and come up with better planning and layouts and things like that. I'm not the best graphic designer, and I don't make great color decisions and things like that, so it's like maybe an area that I can improve on a lot, and maybe some other people as well. But as long as I have all the information in there, I think that's the most important thing, is that people know what it is, what it's supposed to be, and it kind of pops out among the other options that people get when they search for something. So the thumbnails are something that I'm also still kind of trying to figure out. What should exactly a thumbnail be? Should it be the product itself? Should it highlight the features of the product? Should it be more like more information about what's in the product or something like that? So there's lots of different things you could do with it, and lots of different things that people do with it, but I'm not sure exactly what I should be doing with it in order to maximize my sales and things like that so far. I've been doing some of those action shots where basically you print out your product and then take photos of it and things like that, but I don't like the fact that it wastes a lot of paper, especially if it's not something that I'm going to use immediately in my classroom. So I printed out resources that I was using and took photos of those, that's obvious. But other things that I've made, I'm trying to just keep it as much as I can digitally, just to cut down on the paper more than anything else, and color ink and things, which isn't that cheap. So I did a couple of preview videos for experiments, because that kind of makes sense for something that's really complicated or really visual. But for most of my resources, where it's like a game or something like that, I'm just having digital images of those, still images for the previews. And that's been okay so far for the thumbnails and things like that. Let's see. So the logo for the store, I used AI for it. I got into AI at the beginning of last summer, and I started making lots and lots of things on there just for fun. And then I thought, well, I'm making this store, why don't I see if it can make a logo for me? So I typed in my store name and kind of what aesthetic I wanted, and it just spit out something that I was pretty happy with. It took just a couple of tries, but I was pretty satisfied with it. The only thing that I'm not super thrilled about with my logo is that it doesn't have the store name on it. It kind of has the S and the E for the Science for Everyone, but it's not the full title like I'd like. I don't want to put my face on there. I feel like nobody wants to see me in my products. They just want to know what my store is about and kind of get an idea for what my design sense is, I think. But I didn't want to put my picture on there. Lots of teachers do that. But I would like it if my store name was on there. I have one other logo that I do have that has the store name, and I use that for some things too. But I feel like it's inconsistent to have two different logos, so I'm kind of just trying to stick with the one. And the AI one looks a little more professional, so I'm kind of going with that for the most part. That's about all I kind of want to say about the store, I think, for now. I'm up to about 175 products, I think, something like that now. And by the end of this year, I'll probably have more than 300 if I can kind of meet my goals and get everything done that I want to get done. I have around 100 more products to make, and then a bunch of bundles and stuff to put together. And that'll take care of all the main units that I want to do. And then I can start to add value to the current bundles. So I'll add more experiments, more resources to each unit, add some notes. Notes are something that I don't use a lot of because I do project-based learning. So I'll add some basic notes for different units and summary guides and things like that for students. And that's about it. Beyond that, I actually don't know what I will make, but I have at least another year of stuff planned out, all those product lines. So product lines, absolutely do those. Make things that are similar so people can come back and buy the same resources for the other units that they're teaching. I would definitely think that's a good idea. And I try and do about a product a week. Some weeks I do 2 or 3 if it's something I can work on quickly. But I see people, because I get the TPT product email updates all the time, some people are able to spit out like 10 products a week, and I have no idea how they do it. They must be very simple products or something, because most of the ones I create take, I'd say, minimum 3 to 4 hours to make, even for something simple that might just be a page or two. By the time I've done all the thumbnails and research and everything for it and posted it and it's all done, I'd say it's about 3 to 4 hours for a simple one. The more complicated ones, like I make about 50 slide daily kind of activities and stuff where each one is basically a new activity. Those take about 10 hours to do in total for one of those resources. And I have to make 30 of them, and then a bunch of other things too. Experiments taking me about 5-6 hours, I'd say, maybe a little less depending on what it is. But yeah, a lot of time for a good product, and I feel like that's important. I'm trying not to rush through those. And then as I'm making them, I also realize things that I should have done better on the previous products. And then I have to go back and fix all those too. I still got a list of things I need to fix up for some products. So that's something you'll be doing a lot of if this is new to you. You'll have to realize that you're going to make some mistakes and you're going to have to be okay with fixing them up. If you have old products that are not so good, you can kind of disable them, make them not public for a while. And maybe that's a good choice. But I think you might as well make some money off them. So go back and fix them when you can, and kind of work some time into your week of working on your store that you can actually go back and do that. So that's something that I need to do more of actually myself. But yeah, for some reason my phone has like an 8-minute limit on the videos. I think it's I don't know, some settings. I got to figure it out. But that's kind of annoying. I'll figure that out soon, because if I'm going to make more videos, that's going to be a problem. So this year, one of my goals, so looking ahead now, obviously finish all my units. That's my main goal for this year on TPT. And to start kind of expanding into other types of products. Right now, I kind of have my idea for what products I want to create and finish off those product lines. And now I'm trying to get a little more creative. Some of the things I'm making right now are pretty unique, like debate activities where I'm designing all the roles and things like that. That's something that I haven't seen a lot of on other people's stores. But a lot of things that I'm making are kind of available from other people too, like card sorts and task cards and things like that, which other people have. So getting a little more creative with some of those product ideas and converting some of the stuff that I made for my classes into something that I can sell also. So that's big. I'm going to continue with the Facebook marketing. That's going pretty well. Pinterest, I'm going to keep doing, but I'm probably going to do a little bit less of it. I'm not going to spend so much time on it because it's just not paying off yet. The email list, yeah, keep sending out emails. I send one newsletter a month. Some people send out emails like multiple times a week. And personally, as a customer, I delete them. I don't read all those emails. If you have a really interesting title or it sounds like I can get some value out of it, I'll click on it and read through it. But for the most part, I'm signed up to lots and lots of different websites and things like that. I don't read a lot of them. And so that's actually pretty good advice for me, not advice, it helps me to make better quality emails because I kind of know what I'm looking for as a customer, and I'm kind of trying to avoid overdoing it. I don't want to get an email from someone 3 times a week just to say, hey, this is the same product but in a slightly different email. So I only send out one a month, and I focus on the blog, and then I also give a free resource every single month, and some mention about some product I'm working on or something like that. So it's mostly about the blog content, and then I throw in something about the store kind of towards the end. And that's been okay so far. For the number of subscribers I have, I'd say it's paying off well enough. It kind of pays for the website and things like that. It could be doing better, but I'm pretty happy with it right now, and it can really only grow at this point. So happy with that. I also want to do way more YouTube this year. I got some new equipment recently that I can use for making videos, and so I kind of need to play around with that and make sure I can make all that work. But trying to figure out what to put on YouTube was a really hard thing this year, and as you can tell by the number of videos I have, I didn't do much of it. So people said, oh, make videos about your products, and I thought that's like a commercial. That's weird. I don't know how to do that. So I haven't done that. I like to talk, you can tell. Good for a teacher. And so I probably will make more videos where I kind of share instructional videos about some of the content that I'm making. Maybe how to use my resources, like how to do labs or stuff for students about particular topics or something like that. But I want to make sure it's worthwhile. I don't want to just recreate videos that other people have already created. So we'll figure it out. Making TPT videos is something that kind of interests me. That's kind of what this video is. But I don't know if people really need more of that. There's enough really good TPT videos already. So we'll see. I do want to do more YouTube this year, but I don't exactly know what that's going to involve. So we'll see. We'll see about that one. Let's see. Oh, so how much did I make? That's probably why a lot of people are interested in. So in my first year on TPT, I have no idea what other people make. I have some idea, but I don't want to generalize really because I don't have all that data. But my goal was to make $2,000 this year. I made $1,990.08. I was just under $10 shy of my $2,000 goal. That's US dollars. And that's my take home. Not my total earnings, because that's a little bit higher. TPT takes about 20%. I get the other 80. But still, I almost made the 2,000. I was still really happy with it. No complaints there for a first year on a new website, and I didn't have a lot of expectations to start with for it. But yeah, so that was my first year, and it's doing better. Obviously, this August was way better than last August because I was only on the site for like 8 days or something in 2022. This year, August, over $500 in sales, so way higher, and that's my best month so far. And hopefully this year is way better than next year, and I'm expecting to make, my goal is to make $5,000 this year on TPT, and then continue from there, like roughly doubling every year for the next couple of years. And if things go really well this year, then maybe I can even beat that. I don't know. But that's kind of my goal right now. I did quit my full-time teaching job in June, so this is not my only job. I'm doing some other work for other companies, tutoring and things like that now. But TPT is hopefully going to be one of my main income sources if I can continue to grow the store. So if people are asking, like, should I start a store? It's 2023, the site's been around for a long time. Yes, I still think it's worthwhile. Even if you only plan to do it as a part-time thing while you're teaching your full-time job, which I did last year, you can still make $2,000 a year, and that's just in the first year. So you probably won't be able to put in the number of hours that I did in my first year because I knew that I was going to end up in this situation where I didn't have a full-time job this year and I needed something to do. So I really went nuts on it and probably put in like 2 to 4 hours a day, I'd say, on average. And obviously, if you do the math on that, the hours do not pay for the amount of work that I was doing, or the pay doesn't make up for the amount of hours that I put into it. But the potential is still there. I still can go out for the day and I hear cha-chings on my phone. I made some money without doing anything. And even if I stop working on it tomorrow, my store will still continue to sell some products. So I think it is worthwhile to put some effort into it, and consistent effort apparently pays off more than just like working on it once in a while, because every time you upgrade a product, it sends out an email with the new products you posted to your followers, and then those almost always translate to sales. So posting a product every week or every couple of weeks is really, really good. So that's another thing. Being consistent with your product creations and stuff, I think is really important. And yeah, okay, so I guess I'll leave it there for now. I probably talked way too long. I don't know how to summarize all my ideas in a video yet. I probably could have turned into 3 videos or something, but there we go. We're learning. We're getting better all the time. So that's where I'll stop today, and hopefully I'll have something to say between now and next year, and I don't wait another year before I make another video. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Why not?